Alright, today we're going to be doing the Christmas Island special. We're going to be doing it in a size 6. This is a Daiichi 2546. Got a little bit of orange, 140 denier. I think this is Danville. And we're going to put some orange lead eyes on this. We're going to make a little bit of an orange and tan fly. This is a tie, or this fly is originally supposed to be tied a little bit on the heavier side. You can see I've got some tied already here with some lead weight. We're going to tie this one with lead weight, but it doesn't have to be. You can tie it with super light bead chain. I know a lot of people really like it for Belize with really light bead chain, and then over in the Pacific they seem to like it with a little heavier eyes. You can go with some painted brass eyes as well. That'll be really good for this pattern. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is just get our thread started at the front of the hook. We're going to go about 7 wraps back from the eye. Going to cut off our excess there. We've got some extra small lead eyes today. I couldn't find any at the fly shop that were the mini size. I would have preferred the mini for this one, but these extra smalls will get the job done. I mean, these are probably going to get thrown for pompano anyway, so they can go a little heavier. All we're going to do is just X-wrap those onto the front here. Get a couple helicopter wraps under it. A couple more X-wraps on each side. A couple more helicopter wraps. And just make sure those are nice and secured on there. So now we're just going to work our thread all the way back. And all we're doing here is just building up a little of a base so it's not as thin. I like to go just to where it's about to bend and then work my thread forward again. And work my thread all the way back. All this is doing is just building up the body a little bit. It's completely not necessary if you don't want to do it. If you like a little bit thinner of a body, a little thicker of a body, you just do more or less wraps. So we're going to get some crystal flash here now. You don't need very much crystal flash because you will be doubling your crystal flash over at one point on this fly, so you can go less than you would normally use for the tails of some other flies. I've maybe got probably about 8 strands there. This is orange colored as well. So we're just going to tie this in right here on the back of our hook. We're going to lift our crystal flash up and we're going to put wraps right in front of it and then work our thread all the way back to the front of the hook again. Try to keep that body as even as possible just so when we start wrapping this crystal flash it'll stay even. So now we're going to palmer the crystal flash all the way forward, trying to keep the crystal flash as tight as you can. The tighter you keep it, it'll tend to lay a little bit flatter. So all we're just going to do is make some nice tight wraps. Let's start over there. They kind of started coming apart too much on me. Yeah, sometimes they like to just come apart on you. And we'll just work it all the way forward here. Try to get that body looking as good as you can. We got one little spot that's not covered up, but that's not going to kill anybody. And we're just going to figure 8 over the eyes. We're going to tie off, go into the front of the hook, trying to keep our crystal flash on top of the hook shank here. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to get our Loon Flow and we're going to coat the body. This is going to provide our fly some durability. Crystal flash, once you catch a couple fish on it, tends to try to unwind on you. So coating the body with this Loon Flow is just going to make it more durable. Catch more fish on one fly, not cost you as much money. Just kind of let that soak in there for a second. We'll take our UV light, and just hit it. Make sure we get both sides. That should be good. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this section of crystal flash we had here on the front, and all we're going to do is just push it straight back. Try to get it around our hook as even as possible, and we're just going to wrap over it here on the front. About 3 wraps just to make sure it's tied down. That should work for you. All I'm going to do is just kind of measure the length of my body and use that length right off the back. Now that creates the tail, and it's a little bit more crystal flash on the tail at the end. So now the only other material we're going to use on this fly is craft fur. I prefer craft fur to pseudo hair on this fly just because craft fur is a little bit thinner, a little easier to make nice and small, get a little bit more movement out of. You can also use things like fox hair, works really well. If you wanted to use rabbit hair, that would work well for this fly. Anything that that isn't too bulky and is going to provide you with a lot of movement. So we didn't cut off very much. Cut off just a little tab of hair here, and we're just going to pull out fibers until we get this down to a length that we want it. So kind of brush out some of these extra fibers here. Pull out any excess bulk on this. So we don't want excess bulk. We're just going to keep tapering this down and down and down until we get it to where we have just a little bit of craft fur. And we don't want this tail to be too long. I want it to be just a little bit longer than my crystal flash. So that looks about a good length. Go ahead and cut this, kind of square it off. And we'll get this tied in right on the front of the fly. A couple loose wraps to start it. Kind of just move it back with those loose wraps until you get it to where it's not covering the eye. And then just come down with some tight wraps. And if you got any straggling fibers, you can always hit them with a lighter, get them out of there. Kind of build up this head just a little bit. At this point, if you wanted to add anything extra to the fly, if you wanted to add some legs, if you wanted to add some hackle feathers to each side to give the appearance of barring, anything that you want, you could go ahead and do that. We're not going to do that on this fly here today because it seems like a lot more like the Bonefish special that I tie, so we're going to keep this one a little more traditionally tied. But once you get to this point, you can go ahead and whip finish. I like to just build my head a little bit with a whip finish. So we'll probably do 2 separate whip finishes here. I find it a lot easier to keep control over kind of shaping the head when I'm whip finishing, so that's why I don't build it up by just wrapping beforehand. Yeah, and cut that off. Hit it with the lighter one more time, just kind of make sure all those fibers are off the front. Help melt that thread a little bit on there too. Then we're just going to come back with our Loon Flow again, and we're just going to coat the head here with Loon Flow. So pretty simple fly here to tie. You know, you're only really using 3 materials if you include the eyes, and it's a great little effective pattern. I mean, if you're looking for something that's going to be pretty sparsely tied, that you either need to get down to bottom quickly, or if you tie the lighter bead chain version, you can fish it super shallow for bonefish. I mean, it's just it's a great fly overall, and yeah, fishes really well, good movement, good flash, all the things you really want in a bonefish fly. So that's the Christmas Spawn special. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we'll do another video next week and get it up for you guys. Thanks for watching.